All right, there we go. Back in the action. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Not quite sure what we had going on there. It's still Josh Robinson out front, Tom Ogle in second, Brian Glass is third, number 87 machine, Mike Schrader fourth, and Travis Rogers fifth. As everybody's doing a good job out there, not having any big issues. Everybody doing a fantastic job so far. We've made it 22 laps, nice and clean. Haven't seen any big moves or even feints from any of our competitors. So if I was a betting man, everybody's going to run it out here single file for the long as they can. But look at this. It looks like Michael Everhart's fallen off the pace just a little bit. Kind of stuck. He's lost the draft of the lead pack, and he's kind of in no man's land. He's still about 3.5 seconds ahead of Dwayne Macarthur and Robert Crisco, but not quite sure what happened to Titanium here to put himself at such a disadvantage that far back. So he's going to get swallowed up very quickly by Macarthur and Crisco as they are charging hard with a whole lot of drivers in tow. And meanwhile, all the while, he's still losing time. Everhart is losing time to that top 10 set of drivers. So that is not a spot you want to be in. We talked about this early on the broadcast as well. If you lose the draft of your competitors, normally we talk about it in a situation where you're going to come out of pit road by yourself and find yourself in no man's land. You really, really, really lose time as any second. Now, there you go. You can see Dwayne Macarthur, Robert Crisco leading the charge of the second pack of drivers, and they are about to swallow up Everhart. But I don't believe Macarthur and friends are going to be able to catch up to that lead pack. They're about 5.5 seconds back as it stands, and they do not have the momentum or the car count to get all the way up to the front. Here they come, charging hard. As Everhart will find himself now at the tail end of this pack. Dwayne Macarthur, he's going to lead this second pack of cars, currently 11th on track. He's about 5.8 seconds back from the lead pack. And always looking sharp out there in the number 97 machine. Robert Crisco staying glued to his rear bumper in the 28, trying to push Macarthur up towards the front and see if they can whittle away at that 5.8 second gap that the lead pack currently has. Now, Everhart, as bad as that situation was, losing the tail end of that pack and dropping from 11th to 16th, he is still within a pack of cars here. And we've seen it before time and time again. At Daytona, anything can happen, and you can find yourself maybe with a saved race as the run progresses. It's still Robinson and Ogle up front. Both those teammates doing a great job. Robinson currently second in points. He's only about 4 points behind Dwayne Macarthur right now. Things got shaken up just a little bit last week at Michigan, allowing Macarthur to take over the race lead. But again, only a 4-point disadvantage that Robinson currently has over the Fast Canadian in the points chase. And if he finishes exactly where he does, he can flip that around with a quickness, because Macarthur currently pretty far back down the lineup. He's running 11th right now compared to Robinson running second. Good to see Tom Ogle out here as well, running second on track. His last victory was at New Hampshire on July 18th, where he started 6th and finished 1st. At least his victory for the Metro Ford Cup Series. Again, these guys run all throughout the week with each other, so it's cool to see what's going to happen. Last week, Ogle was able to just miss out on a podium with a 4th place finish, but he did get a 3rd at Indianapolis, a 2nd at Watkins Glen, so he's consistently up front, if not on the podium. He's had 17 top 5s this season out of 25 starts and only 3 DNFs. So he's been one of those very consistent guys that we jokingly call one of the usual suspects. We think the fuel window should be opening up any lap. If one thing is certain, these guys are going to drive it all the way to empty on this run to try and bring down that fuel load and increase the amount of laps they're able to do to squeeze through here. So it's looking like it's going to be a two-stop race, barring any cautions. If the pit window is lap 35, that means they'll come in once more around lap 70 for their final stop of the night. So it's going to be interesting to see what transpires on pit road, if anybody's going to try and short stop at all. I don't think they're going to. This 11-pack, 10-car lead pack. Gonna be interesting to see what the team communication is as well. Again, some drivers are on teams. We know 2 Team Miata drivers are out front with Robinson and Ogle running 1 and 2. Gonna be hard to decide when they're gonna pit together, or if they work on strategy going into tonight's race, or maybe to see where the cards may fall, if you will. But again, the one thing they do not want to happen is to come into pit road and go out separate or without any draft partners, is you can quickly lose over 2 seconds a lap being outside the draft. Because while you're in this draft, speeds are hitting in excess of 200 miles an hour here at Daytona. Really allowing these Cup drivers to stretch these engines' legs and really let them breathe, as it is wide open action unless you're just nose to tail in the draft going into turns 1 or turns 3. You may have to check up a little bit there to avoid giving too much of a tail tap to your buddy. But it's one of those tracks where you're going to consistently see your top 10 drivers running single file on that bottom groove as you're on board with Tom Ogle, showing you a bird's eye view of what it's like to be tucked in behind the number 23 of Josh Robinson, as they are making it look easy. Now, don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, this is some white-knuckle action for their drivers. You have to really trust your competitors ahead and behind you to avoid making any mistakes, because one mistake at 200 miles an hour when you're running nose to tail can be quite spectacular if something goes awry. We're going to cycle further back in the field to see what Dwayne Macarthur, Robert Crisco are doing in that second pack of cars. It's Macarthur, Crisco, Pischke, Brown, Groves, Everhart, and Runyon Sr. all running together. So right now that is 11th through 17th running in a pack. Then you've got a third pack led by Hoskins. He's got Gary Kipper, Brian Lindsay, Jonathan Green, Eric Essery, Ken Huff, Kelly Cool, Scales, all running in this pack as well. And then you got to go further back. You've got Dean Gear in 26. He's got a 3-car pack as well with Jess Vaught, Eric Whiting, all running single file as well. And then another third and final pack. Dave Mayberry, Todd Bosworth, Lewis Albee, all running in tow. So all across the racetrack here today, you've got somebody to race with, as everyone's just kind of spread out here at this point. But look at this Travis Rogers. He has internet problems, the number 72 machine. A big blink from Rogers as the field scatters and they make their way onto pit lane. Robinson and friends lead them in for their first pit stop of the night. As Rogers, Groves, Everhart, Kipper, Lindsay, Green, Huff, Scales all staying out, as well as Dean Gear. So lap 35 was the magic number. We're going to get our pit cycle started. Are we going to see any speeding penalties? I don't believe we will. as Tom Ogle will be the first car out, edging out his teammate Josh Robinson. Just a little bit better of a stop, and look at that mad dash out of pit lane here at Daytona. This could be a saving grace for several drivers. Those drivers that were out there in no man's land are going to be able to come out and find some support and somebody to drive with. As up front is Travis Rogers, who has not pitted yet in the number 72 machine. Michael Everhart shows as second, Gary Kipper third. Again, these drivers have not pitted yet and initiated their cycle. So Travis Rogers will dive into pit lane. Michael Everhart will follow in tow, as well as pretty much everybody that has not pitted yet, coming in on lap 36, lap 37, as well as Dean Greer. So that should allow Tom Ogle to take over the race lead. He's accompanied by his teammate Josh Robinson, Brian Glass, Al Turner, Mike Schrader. Kopko has made his way into the mix. So it's going to shake things up in the top 5, top 10. As we get through this first pit cycle. But what this is going to allow is a lot of drivers that had problems early on that were not able to stay with this lead pack to maybe catch up and make something happen. Now again, it was a 10-car pack early on today, but now we've whittled it down to 7 drivers in the lead pack, followed by a second pack led by Michael Everhart, Jonathan Green, Dwayne Macarthur, Bot, and number 16 team, 69 machine, Joe Brown, Everhart. So it's going to be interesting to see how this cycles up as you get different drivers around each other. So it's Greg McDaniel, number 7, currently 7th on track, number 30 machine. He's at the tail end of this pack. And then he has about a 5.7 second advantage over Dwayne Macarthur, the fast Canadian. And the number 97 machine leading the second pack of race cars. Macarthur finds himself 8th on track. Now Macarthur's going to have to find some pace here, because right now the fastest Canadian on the track, Al Turner, the number 76 machine, running strong in 4th place. He's up 4 positions from where he started here today in the number 76 snap-on backed race car. Good to see him finding a little bit of speed and maybe a little bit of strategy here, allowing himself to get up more towards the front. Turner currently 7th in points. He's still looking for his first win as well for the OBRL Racing crew. He's got 5 top 5s, 15 top 10s. And he averages about an 11th place finish per race. So good to see Al up front and clicking them off. He's in a very good position to watch. Our top 3 drivers are very experienced. Ogle, Robinson, Glass. See what they're doing. See if he can mimic him a little bit. And I think what you can see here today is everybody get back in a groove, clicking them off single file. And then with about 10 laps left to go, you're going to see a lot less politeness from our drivers, as everybody's going to be battling hard to make something happen and pick up that final win. That's where you're going to see the 2-3 wide action and possibly some shenanigans. It's a little bit less likely to see it in the middle of the green flag runs. Everybody's clicking off single file, knowing what they have to do to maximize either the time gained or minimize the time lost to catch up to the lead pack drivers. As I believe that was once again Turner with a big blink in the number 76 machine. That's going to be worrisome for Mike Schrader in the number 4, the Ford Mustang driver, currently 5th on track in the Busch Light sponsored race machine. Now every time Turner has that blink, Schrader has to think to himself, all right, where is this car going to reappear at? If it does, the last thing he wants is for Turner to show up in the bumper of Mike Schrader as they're going to make their way through lap traffic here, or soon to be lap traffic. I believe that's going to be Travis Rogers, the number 72 machine, finding himself a lap down now. Rogers, one of those drivers stuck out there in no man's land, not able to find anybody to draft with, so now he's going to follow in tow with the lead lap cars, hoping for a caution to come out so he can get that lucky dog and get that lead lap back. We're going to cycle further back in the field, see what may be going on as Dwayne Macarthur. He's about 8 seconds back from the lead 7 cars, or the current 7 fastest cars on racetrack. I think Macarthur's kind of in a tough spot where he doesn't have the momentum that he really wants to push his way up towards the front to try and catch those lead cars, as they just have more drivers in tow to try and make something happen. Macarthur finds himself interjected with about 5 different cars. Some are on the lead lap, some are not. He's got Randy Bott, Joe Brown in his pack here that is on the lead lap, but a couple of lap cars also intermingled. As you see the number 9 machine swerve to the outside line to give Macarthur the run. That's Groves, who's a lap down. But Macarthur, just doesn't have the cars he needs to push his way up towards the front. Those 7 cars running single file are able to extend the gap just a little bit further every single lap. Right now, Macarthur, he's about almost 9 seconds back as the lead pack keeps extending it. Bott doing his best to stay glued to the rear bumper of the number 97 machine, but with only 4 cars, they are at a severe disadvantage. They're going to have to hope to try and win it on pit lane if anything's going to happen here. We're going to cycle further back to Michael Everhart. He's in a pack of his own. Look at that pack, led by Robert Crisco's number 28. Crisco currently 11th on track. He has got an absolute freight train of drivers around him. And it's going to be interesting to see if Crisco is going to be able to catch up to Macarthur and maybe pick those guys up. I think he will be, as it is a 3-second gap and closing rapidly. Last time by, Crisco clicked off of 45.96. While Macarthur, Bott, and Brown were clicking off mid to low 46s, 46.2 for the most part for all those drivers. So this is going to be quite interesting to see how long it takes Crisco, Pischke, Runyon, Essery, Everhart, Green. A massive pack of drivers. It looks like it's going to be Dode Hoskins and the number 66 machine at the tail end of this pack. Hoskins running 18th right now. But they are freight training their way up, and if they can catch Macarthur, Bott, and Brown, they may be able to make something happen and gain some much-needed time before the final pit stop of the night. Crisco, he's about 17th in points right now, still looking for his first top 5 as well. And just trying to keep a clean race car. His highest finish of the season, I believe, was a 7th place. He got one both at Las Vegas and he got a 7th place at Kansas Oval as well. Last week in Michigan, he started 10th and finished 11th after 94 laps completed, so he's been a very consistent driver. And this is one of the things about Daytona. Anybody can kind of pull their way up and win it. It's one of those things where anything can kind of happen. As Crisco getting a whole lot of support from Pischke trying to drive their way up. They've got it down to about 2.6 seconds to Joe Brown, who is a top 10 car. Brown running in the number 21 machine, currently just inside the top 10. We've got about 20 laps left on this fuel window for these drivers. It's going to be interesting to see if we're going to see Crisco, Pischke running, able to catch up to Joe Brown, Bott, and Macarthur, who's kind of in a pack of their own. They've got a 3-car lead lap pack, and they're also accompanied by Groves, who's a lap down in the number 9 machine. As you can see, Crisco behind him, he has his target in sight, trying to catch the 4 drivers running single file. Now, if these guys can all link up together and start hot lapping up to the top 7 drivers who are out front, just keeping their heads clean and knocking out some laps. So far, things have been nice and clean. It's still Ogle and Robinson out front, having a great race, not having any big issues. Robinson, again, he's one of the Team Miata drivers, currently 2nd in points. He's also accompanied by Brian Glass, number 87 machine. We haven't talked about Brian much so far in the last couple of races, but he's been doing great out there in number 87 machine, getting faster and faster as the season progresses, not having any big moments that really put him in the highlight reel, which is a great thing for all of our drivers. Nobody wants to make it into the highlight or low light reel. Glass, he's currently 23rd in points. Doesn't have as many starts as some of the other racers. He's only started about 14 races so far. His last race shows as February, that's not right, it's Pocono, July 25th. At Pocono, he had a rough race where he finished 22nd after a late incident that put him out for a little while. His career best was a 4th place at Chicagoland for this season, where he started 8th and was able to bring it home 4th after only 1 incident and 2 laps led. So great to see Glass out there charging hard, not having any big moments and not having any big issues. So Glass looking in a good spot here to maybe bring home his first podium. He is still down 1 spot from where he started tonight, but we know we have 1 pit stop remaining for all of our drivers, and that can really shake things up for the competitors, as we have seen races won or lost on pit road. I can't say how many times as a broadcaster we've seen an odds-on favorite car that should have, in all rights, won the race absolutely blow it on pit road, either speeding violation or just straight up crashing. It is still 7 drivers in the lead pack. Dwayne Macarthur leading the second pack. They still have about a 2.8 second advantage over Robert Christgau. Christgau in that third pack of race cars on track, not able to get up there as quickly as he would have liked. Again, we've got anywhere between 15 to 20 laps left on this fuel window. Actually, let's say 10 to 15 laps left on this fuel window before we might see drivers coming in for the final pit stop of the night. We know these drivers can make it 34 to 35, maybe up to 36 laps on a tank of gas. So it's going to be interesting to see what the final strategy is here today. Are we going to see anybody go for a bit of an undercut? That way the race leaders have to come back by around them and they can keep them in the draft, or is the overcut going to be the move here? As you're watching the 4-car pack behind them, it's Robert Christgau and friends trying to catch up to that second pack of cars with Macarthur, Bott, Brown all in the 8th through 10th place spot. Robert Christgau currently 11th with Dakota Pischke right behind him in 12th. This is going to be very interesting to see what happens as the run progresses and we can get this final pit stop underway. Now again, once we get about 10 laps left to go, it's going to be no holds bars racing, as we're going to expect to see a second and third groove develop as things get a little bit more exciting. But that's going to be kind of the deciding factor as well, is every time these guys go 2 or 3 wide, that allows the pack of cars behind them to catch back up. So are we going to see Ogle and Robinson look for that 2-car setup as well, or is everybody in the top 7 going to be happy running single file until the last couple of laps? Because while they do have an 8-second advantage over Macarthur, Bott, and Brown, they know if they start going 2 and 3 wide too early, it's going to allow more cars to get up in the mix. And the last thing they want to do is battle with more and more competitors in the final moments here at Daytona. Looks like some drivers getting a little bit antsy, maybe taking peeks to the inside or outside. What they could also be doing is putting some cool air on the front of their race cars, trying to prevent any overheating issues, and maybe just taking a bit of a mental breather. And that's what we're seeing. Dakota Pischke, he's looking at the outside line, trying to get it too wide already to see if he can get around Robert Christgau. He's also accompanied by Michael Titanium Everhart, the number 17 machine, run the high line. Titanium, one of the fan favorites, one of the driver favorites, one of the most fun guys you can hang out with on or off the track. He's a very good, clean racer and always does his best to improve. He's one of those guys that just gets faster and faster as the season progresses. But it looks like Pischke may leave Titanium out to dry here, as Mike is going to do his best to hold the side draft. And ooh, what a big blink from the number 70, I think that was the 71 of Roger Runyon. Everhart going to be able to get back in line here, settling into that 16th place spot. So now it'll be Dakota Pischke pushing this third pack, I should say, up towards the front. These guys doing a great job, but they're just not gaining the time over MacArthur, Bott, and Brown that they really need to. They're about 5 seconds back. So it's amazing what type of run that these three drivers are able to get. Four drivers, I should say, accompanied by the number 9 of Groves, who's a lap down. Just not able to push their way up towards the front as our top 10 drivers are barely inside the top 10. MacArthur, Bott, Brown running 8th, 9th, and 10th out here. Pit window should be opening up around lap 70 to 75 for these drivers. And then we'll see our final pit stop of the night. Interesting to see what we see here. Up front, it's still Ogle and Robinson running nice and clean. When is this pack of 7 drivers going to initiate their pit stop? Ooh, Dakota Pischke has a moment. And where did he end up? Can't tell if that's the backstretch. There's no race car there, Dakota, or no racetrack there, my friend. The number 1 machine has big problems. No caution since he's off the racetrack. That's wild. Let's see if we can get a replay of that one. Because what an interesting place to have an incident. Dakota Pischke, the number 1, gets a hearty shove from Crisco. Sends him sliding through the infield. Or the backstretch, I should say, here at Daytona. And no caution comes out. Dakota Pischke has lost the iRacing lottery there. And man, heartbreaking for the number 1. That should have been a caution, but the official iRacing guys did not catch it. The iRacing officials give it, and they also take it away. So it looks like Crisco gave him a good hearty bump, but just not quite squared up is what it looks like from our point of view. Now, if that caution would have come out, you could expect to see everybody come in since they can make it to the end with tires and fuel. And we're going to initiate our pit cycles here today. The top 7 all coming in together. And look at that, 3-4 wide going into pit road. Are we going to have any speeding penalties here? That's going to be the question. Is things going to get shaken up between Tom Ogle and Josh Robinson? The 2 Team Miata teammates towards the back. You've got smoke as somebody may have come in just a little bit hot there. As Robinson looking very, very clean in number 23 Camry. Oh, who's going to get it? It looks like Tom Ogle just ever so slightly has won it on pit lane. He was faster than his teammate Robinson by about 0.2 of a second. Now Runyon, Essery, Everhart, Huff, Greenscales, Crisco have opted to stay out here. Now, Everhart and Scales, the 2 drivers still out on track that have not come in yet. Green, Runyon, Huff, Essery have come in, so that should put Ogle and Robinson back out front. They're accompanied by Greg McDaniel. Brian Glass is going to be falling down 1 spot. Mike Schrader, Al Turner, Pete Kopko. Kopko should be just outside this top 5 drivers or so that should be your race leaders once Everhart, Scales, and Crisco comes into pit lane. And oh, look at this. Tom Ogle having to cut through traffic as they're going to go 3 wide. Hold on to it, gentlemen. That's going to get quite exciting for everybody. Looks like everybody get through nice and clean. Well done. They do have a rule here for RBRL. If you find yourself not on the lead lap and getting the doors blown off your race car, you are expected to hold the high line and allow the faster drivers through. But where that gets exciting is if you're in a race for your own position, or if there's multiple cars and you have to go 2, 3 wide, things can get very, very exciting very, very quickly. As who was that with a blink? That was Tom Ogle, number 11 driver, has a blink of his own. Now this is technically not the lead pack. Up front you've got Michael Everhart and Dumpkin Scales running very strong in a 2-car pack. But oh, what is this? We show Randy Bott has had an incident, but we don't see where. After a long pit road, he may have got a speeding violation on pit road. As he was returned to pit lane, we'll grab a quick replay of that and see what happened to Randy Bott. Leaves pit lane, passes the cone. And then pulls over. Interesting to see, so he's going to be returning to the pits possibly for the night. Everhart still out front, Scales second. They've got about a 26-second gap over Tom Ogle leading the second pack of cars, but Everhart and Scales have not pitted yet, so they're going to have to come in at least once more here, but trying to draw it out and maybe just hoping for a caution at this point, as they got very close a couple times. We saw Pischke have that big moment after Crisco got into the back of him. I don't think it was an aggressive move. I think it's just a race incident, both drivers trying to push hard. And then Randy Bott, who came out of pit lane. Crisco finally makes his way onto pit lane. .26 laps left to go. Everhart is enjoying the TV time out front and looking great. Number 17 machine. Again, he has not pitted since lap 36, so he's going to have to come in eventually, as well as Scales in second. But for the meantime, they're looking absolutely great out front, putting on a great show as they're going to start catching some traffic. But when are we going to see the number 17 of Old Titanium dive into pit lane here at Daytona? In theory, he should be able to make it a couple more laps before he absolutely has to come in. And just like that, the caution comes out. Everhart and Scales might have been saved here as they are crashing at Daytona. What happened? Travis Rogers involved. Groves, Mayberry involved. Everhart gets through clean. Our race leader is going to have the opportunity to pit under caution. They're still crashing here at Daytona. Let's grab a replay. I'm not sure what's going on. Watch Travis Rogers, number 72 machine, gets doored there and spun around. That was the first crash. Groves, let's see what happened to Groves. Where on earth did that? Is everybody just... Everybody's crashing here at Daytona. So it looks like maybe bump drafting gone awry. No, I don't know what that was. Did Groves blow up? We're going to back that up once more, because that looks like an engine blow up to me, like something. We're going to grab one of our Metro Ford chopper cams here and see what may have happened. Yeah, he blew up. Groves absolutely blew up. Oh! And then the hits just keep coming. Then Mayberry gets involved. Crisco crashes. What a night here. So this is Mayberry in the 119, the rookie. Nowhere to go. Absolutely just destroys Groves. And Crisco also involved in an incident. The number 28 machine. Everybody's crashing here at Daytona. So Crisco may blow up trying to make it onto pit lane. I think is what that's going to be. And has to take a way back to pit lane the easy way. Now what's going to happen here? Everhart may have been saved by the bell. We know his pit window is rapidly approaching, so Everhart and Scales are going to make their way onto pit road. 15 drivers still in the lead lap, 16 drivers still in the lead lap, but man, Everhart, he got very, very lucky there. He might have been a lap down. And this is where things are going to get doubly exciting because cautions breed cautions. This is where incidents can get really exciting. Tom Ogle is going to take over the race lead with Josh Robinson, Greg McDaniel, Brian Glass. We talked about Glass earlier, still looking for his very first podium of the season. So he is in an opportunity here to make something happen. But cautions breed cautions. So this is where things can get very exciting for everybody. As we know, there's only 23 laps left to go. It's going to be about 21 on the line when they get started. And I believe, ladies and gentlemen, Greg McDaniel is also looking to chase down his first podium of the season. We've got his career best this season. It was a 4th at Pocono. So just like that, things are really, really shaking up here. Because my oh my, what's going to happen here as we get them formed up too wide, too wide and as far back as the eye can see. It'll be 21 laps left to go. Once the green flag drops, everyone here should be able to make it to the end on fuel, but now we're going to see some side-by-side action. Pace car is in. We're about to send them out on their way. What is going to happen? It's two teammates side by side. Tom Ogle, Josh Robinson. You've got two guys looking for their first podium. Greg McDaniel, Brian Glass. A whole lot of drivers suddenly find themselves in a position to bring home their first podium, their first top 5, a first top 10, or more importantly, their first win ever. As we've got two rows starting to form up and everybody trying to find a dance partner to draft with. It's again the two teammates out front. I can expect to see Tom Ogle to clear himself in front of Josh Robinson. Once given the opportunity, the two teammates are going to try and work together. But look at that, Dwayne Macarthur out of nowhere. He's currently 5th on track. He's the 3rd in the high row, as well as Dode Hoskins, the number 66 machine. A lot of guys suddenly finding themselves in a very good position here, as this is going to be quite exciting white knuckle side-by-side action. The outside line doesn't quite have the car count they need to really get a run going, but they are doing everything in their power to make it happen. It is Ogle, Glass, and Macarthur running nose to tail in the top 3 line, where you've got Robin on the inside line running single file, trying to propel their way up towards the front. Looks like the inside line, and the yellow flag comes out once more. With 19 laps left to go, it's Todd Bosworth goes for a wild ride. Oh, no, that was Rogers involved with that. So Rogers didn't show us crashing, which was very odd. Rogers, oh, that looked like netcode to me, didn't it? Look at this. We're going to back that up. We're going to put it on our chopper camera, our Metro Ford sponsored chopper cam. And we're going to run that in slow-mo. So Travis Rogers, he's in the black and red number 72. He got netcoded. The number 42 machine made no contact and just sent Rogers careening around the racetrack. And that's going to shake things up once more, as it's still going to be Robinson and Ogle, your top 2 drivers for the teammates running 1 and 2. Now, if we have any viewers at home that aren't quite iRacing aficionados and you have no idea what I'm talking about when I say he got netcoded, the iRacing simulator does its best to predict where every car is going to be in a given millisecond, since we have drivers from all across the world competing with each other. Sometimes the simulator gets it wrong and they predict it wrong, and what it does, it basically puts a car in position, and really no fault there of either Travis Rogers or Todd Bosworth. Just very bad luck between the two drivers, and unfortunately that's going to put damage on both their cars, in a track such as Daytona going to make it very, very tough to really salvage that run. Not able to get the straight line speed that you really wanted. As we're going to get another driver waved around, I believe. There should be about 15 drivers on the lead lap here at Daytona. Re-racked. Oh, this is going to get exciting. Cautions, precautions. We said it early on. This is where the field gets stacked back up and things get more and more exciting, as everybody's going to be pushing hard to try and bring home possibly a career best for several drivers. You got Greg McDaniel, Brian Glass in the top 5 looking for their first podium. I think Mike Schrader, the number 44 machine, he's also looking for a career best here. Yeah, Schrader is 16th in points. He's got 2 top 5 finishes so far this season. He did have a win at Talladega on April 25th. So he's looking to get back up on the podium once more. Since then, his highest has been about a 6th at Indianapolis. It's going to be 16 laps left to go as they cross the line. Josh Robinson, Tom Ogle, the teammates starting side by side. And are we going to be able to get through the remaining 16 laps clean, or are we going to see some more heartbreak for other drivers here today? Pace car makes its way in as we get ready to send our competitors out for possibly the final time here at Daytona. The final round leading up to the Chase playoffs for the Old Bastards Racing League Metro Ford Cup Series, as it is teammates Robinson and Ogle side by side, putting on a show up front. Who's going to be able to take it with 16 laps left to go, as it looks like Robinson's got the charge on the inside line. He's accompanied by Greg McDaniel, number 30 machine. Meanwhile, his teammate Tom Ogle, number 11, the bright pink White Claw backed race car. He's accompanied by Brian Glass, the number 87, with a Kodak backed car. As look how deep and talented this field is running. That is a lot of different drivers running 2 wide, about 10 rows deep. Tom Ogle's going to get a charge here. Looks to clear on the number 23. Not able to make it happen. His teammate Josh Robinson says, "No, sir. Sorry, Captain. This one's my show for now." And then keep an eye as well as you've got Dwayne Macarthur in the mix. The number 3, Pete Kopko, has worked his way up towards the front. Kopko currently 7th on track. We're looking for a few different drivers to maybe bring home some career best here today, as they are side by side and holding it wide. Josh Robinson, Tom Ogle, the 2 Team Yada teammates out front, putting on a show for their sponsors here today. Pete Kopko, he gets shuffled back a little bit, as it looks like those lines are getting a little wiggly up front. Are we going to see Tom Ogle come to the inside line and clear against his teammate Josh Robinson? Or is he going to be the blocking force out front to maybe slow down the pace of that outside line to allow the team a 1-2 finish? It's going to be interesting to see what strategy comes into play here. Well, Brian Glass, the number 87 machine, currently 2nd on track, charging hard, trying to get that first podium. Got to keep an eye out well for Dwayne Macarthur, Pete Kopko, Mike Schrader, Hoskins, all of these guys looking for a podium so far this season. Again, a lot of drivers in this top 10 are looking for their very first podium of the season. That outside line has got something figured out here. Are we going to see Brian Glass clear himself in front of Josh Robinson? Or is he going to stay glued to Tom Ogle and try and pick up a 2nd place finish here today? And it looks like both Ogle, Glass, and I think that's going to be MacArthur dropping in line here on the inside line. It looks like everybody's single file with 12 laps left to go. When are we going to see the breakaway? When all the friendships go out the window as everybody starts charging hard, trying to pick up a career best finish? It is Tom Ogle in the bright pink at number 11 out front. Dwayne Macarthur third. Brian Glass second. Josh Robinson's gotten cycled back to fourth here. But again, a lot of drivers in a great position to maybe bring home their very first podium, if not a race win. So it looks like almost the entirety of the field has broken down single file until you get about to the 10th place marker. So we've got Hoskins battling out with Everhart as they're going to go 3 wide. Goodness. Kelly Cool, the number 117, the rookie, has worked his way up 12 spots so far. But our current hard charger's got to be Scales, running 9th, and the number 8 Chevrolet up 15 spots so far. You're just on board with Hoskins trying to push the rookie Kelly Cool up towards the front and see if they can make their way around some of the other drivers, such as Brian Lynch. Now these guys have to know the more they battle side by side, that's going to allow the lead pack to make a bit of a breakaway, as they are for the most part running single file, just trying to get some distance. It's 10 laps left to go. Hoskins currently 11th, clear of Joe Brown's number 21 machine, and secured that 11th place spot on the inside line. Up front, it is still Ogle, Glass, Macarthur, Robinson, McDaniel, your top 5 here today. Ten laps left to go. It's going to be 9 as they cross the line. Who's going to be able to bring it home here at Daytona? And who's going to maybe leave with some hurt feelings and a battered race car? It's going to be interesting to see what happens here as the closing laps start clicking off. We got about 10 drivers still in the lead pack here. About 9 drivers, excuse me. Nine drivers in this lead pack. Then you've got about a 3-second gap to Kelly Cool in the 117, running just inside the top 10. Cool is up 16 spots into 10th. Eight laps left to go. When are we going to see somebody break out of formation here and make a final run at it? Right now, Brian Glass looking in a great position to get his hands on his first podium, but keep an eye out as well as Greg McDaniel in a position as well to bring home a first podium in his number 30 machine. So things really shaking up. This is going to be quite a race of first here today. The laps are rapidly clicking off for all of our competitors. How long are they going to wait before we see some final breakaways? It is 5 cars running nose to tail here at Daytona, trying to get ahead of their competitors. You've got Ogle, Glass, Macarthur, Robinson, McDaniel, your top 5 running nose to tail. Then you got about 1.5 seconds back. You've got Pete Copco, Cocoa Puffs in 6th place, trying to catch up with 6 laps left to go. I'm not sure if he's going to have enough time or what's going to happen. With only 5 cars in the lead pack, it's going to be very, very tough for some of these competitors to make any final breakaways and runs for a finish line dash. You've got lap traffic holding the high line. That's going to be the number 42 machine, yielding the line to our faster lead cars. That's Todd Bosworth who's involved with that netcode incident with Travis Rogers not too long ago. Unfortunately, we talked about that air damage that can really hinder your performance at such a wide open track such as Daytona, and that is what we're seeing out of the number 42 machine. As are we seeing some action here for the top three. Dwayne Macarthur looking for some support on the outside line with Josh Robinson in tow, as they're going to go 2 wide, 2 rows deep. Greg McDaniel, number 30 machine, he's going to give some support to the high line to try and careen his way up to the front, as well as Macarthur's going to make a move past past Tom Ogle. Josh Robinson's also going to get us up there. And look at that, Greg McDaniel moves up to third. So 4 laps left to go. We're seeing things shaking around at Daytona. Macarthur, your new race leader. Robinson second, McDaniel third. As Brian Glass has gotten cycled back to fifth, they still have about a 1.6 second advantage over Pete Kopko in 6th place. So where is this going to work? As now Robinson makes a move as Greg McDaniel charges up the inside. Still holding on to 2nd place. Now what's Macarthur doing? Is he trying to get set up for a final lap dash? But look at this, the caution comes out. With 4 to go, the caution comes out. Roger Runyon goes off track. Eric Essery also goes off track. What is going on back there? Oh! How is that deemed an off track? That was a violent crash off the number 71 machine. We're going to have to watch that once more. Oh, that was a spectacular incident. So it looks like bump drafting just goes bad for Roger Runyon. Gets hooked by the number 4 machine and goes for a violent ride. And oh no, so does the number 4 as he goes careening across the racetrack. That was Mike Schrader also heavily involved. Runyon's going to land off the track, but Schrader is still flipping on the high line of the track. Does anybody else get collected? Hoskins able to get through. And no, they're going to start crashing ahead of him. That's Bosworth again, unable to catch a break here today. And man, oh man, what's the incident? Is Titanium able to get through nice and clean? It looks like he is, just ever so slightly. Wow, what a crash. Kelly Cool involved, a lot of drivers involved with that one. So I believe that's going to put us in green-white checker conditions here. It's Josh Robinson out front, Greg McDaniel second, Tom Ogle third, Dwayne Macarthur fourth, Brian Glass fifth. But this is going to stack the field up one final time and send our drivers out, as this is going to be spectacular here in the final closing laps of Daytona for the Metro Ford Cup Series. McDaniel, Glass looking for their first podium of the season. Kopko maybe saved by the bell, finding himself to get linked back up with the other drivers for a final restart. The last time we had Kopko on the podium was a third at New Hampshire, July 18th. Then you have to cycle way back to his last top 5, which was Phoenix on March 14th. So again, if we have a caution before the white flag comes out, we will end the race under caution exactly as they stand. But if the caution comes out under the white flag, it is every man for himself and a hard charge towards the finish line. This is going to be exciting. We're going to get them re-racked for the final time here at Daytona. It is going to be Josh Robinson, Greg McDaniel starting side by side. Now keep an eye on this though. You've got two teammates starting to get on the inside line. Josh Robinson, Tom Ogle. Expect to see those two drivers working together. On the high line, you've got Greg McDaniel starting up front, but he's got Dwayne Macarthur, somebody who's very comfortable pushing someone up towards the front to benefit both the other driver and himself, as well as Copco, the number 3 machine star on the high line, Brian Glass on the low line. So you got a lot of experienced racers up here. We're going to let the green flag fly for the final restart at Daytona. What is going to happen? We've seen a very clean race punctuated by cautions here at the tail end. If you're going to see any more crashes, now is the time, as the rest of the field struggles to catch up to the lead pack before the restart. And just like that, the pace car is in. Here we go for the final time. Barney, our track official, is going to wave the green flag for our competitors. And away we go. It's Josh Robinson who's going to get pushed by Tom Ogle up front. Don't forget Brian Glass, or Greg McDaniel, excuse me, looking for his first ever podium, if not a race win here. As Dwayne Macarthur has quickly gone to the low side, trying to tuck in line behind the 3 teammates. It looks like Brian Glass and Mike Schrader are trying to make something happen as Greg McDaniel gets shuffled to the outside line, not able to push up there as quickly as he wants. Macarthur takes a look at the high side, maybe trying to get some support from Brian Glass, not able to make it happen. It's 2 teammates running 1 and 2. Macarthur trying to get that high side working, see if anybody else is going to take the bait and follow in tow. Josh Robinson checks up. That's going to allow Tom Ogle to take the high side. As look at that, we've got 2 drivers trying to make something happen. Dwayne Macarthur and Brian Glass making something happen. Glass looking for his first podium so far this season. The white flag is going to fly here at Daytona as we are 3 wide behind our race leaders. Everybody trying to find a partner to make something happen. As 2 teammates, Robinson and Ogle, out front. There's smoke! Ogle gets hooked back into the field. Josh Robinson stays out front. Ogle's race is ruined. They're still crashing behind him. It's going to be Josh Robinson, Dwayne Macarthur, Scales in our top 3. What an interesting night. Oh my, there's going to be some hurt feelings in the hauler after this one as Josh Robinson's looking to bring it home at the end. We're going to grab the instant replay after we take the checkered. But look at this, it's Scales. Scales is going to win it here at Daytona. Josh Robinson second. Dwayne Macarthur third. Oh my goodness. We're going to take a super slow motion or Metro Ford backed slow motion replay. And see what just happens to Tom Ogle. See where things might have went wrong for all of our drivers. Because it started up front with Ogle, and it was the crash that just kept giving. So we're gonna back that up. And we're gonna take a look at our onboard chopper cam. Enhance. So it looked like a square push. No, he just kind of got into the back right, I think, and sent Ogle around. Almost got into Josh Robinson. Then Brian Glass takes the ride of his life. And Ogle is going to be involved in the big one. Copco nowhere to go. Poor Ogle just getting absolutely obliterated in the number 11 White Claw. But we're going to go further up front as they are still crashing. I believe that's Titanium and Copco getting into each other. Greg McDaniel gets hooked. Wow, what a race. As we are going to try and get our drivers up here into the waiting room, this is going to be quite the interesting one. So up first, we're going to get Dwayne Macarthur, the world-famous Canadian, bringing it home in third. Dwayne, what a race, my friend.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race. Thanks, James. It
We
was
uh we lost a lot of good men there at the end. How are you able to keep it clean and survive here at Daytona?
well, I think my misfortune at the beginning of the race became my good luck charm. I kind of lost the draft there and ran around by myself for a while. So
Now I know we kind of all expected Ogle and Robinson to work together there, and you were trying to squeeze your nose into the mix. Was there any drivers you were kind of reaching out to, saying, "Hey, let's beat these teammates together," or was it every man for himself under white flag conditions?
yeah, I really thought maybe Glass and myself. I was gonna try to push the 30, but that hole opened on the bottom. I had to take it. I knew that those two would work together, but not on the last lap. I knew they'd divide, so we had to choose one. Funny that I chose the guy chasing me in points, but I chose Josh.
Well, yeah, at least it was a good race all the way through the end, and that's going to keep that points chase nice and tight leading into the chase. Now, Dwayne, before I let you sign off and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, who would you like to give a shout out to that may be supporting you behind the scenes?
Yeah, just everybody in the league, everybody here. My sponsor, REG Customs, and congrats to Chris Scales. I think that's his first league win. I was kind of hoping somebody would get one of those today, so good job for him.
Well, Dwayne, always a pleasure talking to you, man. Always a great time having you up at the podium, and looking forward to the chase starting next week.
Should be a good time. Looking forward to Darlington.
Have a good one, buddy.
Thanks, you too.
Up next, we've got Josh Robinson, the number 23 driver, Toyota. Josh, what happened there with your teammate?
I think Dwayne and Tom might have had a little bit of net code, and it. I don't know. Tom launched and he launched out of the county.
Yeah, we saw that a couple times here today. A couple of incidents that looked more like my like net code more so than over aggressive driving. But I mean that's kind of the hand we're dealt here at Daytona. You had pretty good luck running clean all night long. Now, were you and Tom worried about drafting at all and bump drafting with the net code we saw, or is it you guys playing it pretty safe all the way through?
We have been playing it pretty safe. We kind of kept saying that we just wanted to, if you picture a beach ball, we just wanted to keep that beach ball in between us so we weren't doing the accordion effect. And we did a really good job of that all night. But we knew, even though we're teammates, when it was 5 to go, there was no longer any teammates.
Now it's going to be very interesting to see what happens as well going into the chase. The points, granted, you and Dwayne are both comfortably going to be going into the chase. I know it's only 4 points, separating you going into tonight. But I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen as the chase progresses. Are you pretty comfortable with some of the tracks we have on the chase? I know we go to Darlington next week. Is that a track you're happy with, or what do you think going into it on September 5th?
I'm okay, not too excited. It's not one of my better tracks, so I got to do a little bit of practicing this week. But for the rest of the season, we got the Roval coming up. We got some short tracks like Richmond and Phoenix. I'm excited for those.
Well, awesome, Josh. Always a great time talking to you. You guys have been putting on a great show all season long. Before I let you sign off, who would you like to give thanks to that's cheering you on from behind the scenes?
Just my teammates, Tom, and then Andrew wasn't able to make it today, but he's always a huge help, and then Joe Brown.
Always a pleasure, Josh. Looking forward to seeing you up here again, my friend.
Thanks, James. Thanks for the broadcast.
Always a pleasure. And up next, the man of the hour, putting it on the top spot for the very first time. Scales, you've got to be absolutely ecstatic right now, buddy.
Thanks, man. Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, you kept me waiting in that green room way too long. As an OBRL race winner champion, I want snacks and stuff, maybe some punch and pie.
Well,
if you're
Scales,
gonna keep me waiting.
well, Scales, as a newcomer to the podium, I'll introduce you how that works since the other guys have a little bit more experience, I reckon. But we go 3, 2, 1, so it's actually an honor to be the last guy up here in the podium room, and that gives you the longest time to talk. So, Scales, tell me about that. I know we joke around here a bunch at OBRL, but what's it like running so clean and consistent with all these talented guys and then able to pick up the first win of the season?
Oh yeah, man, it's awesome. And I joke because these guys are just so tough, and there's 5 or 6 of them that are just about impossible to beat. So these plate tracks are really my only real shot at getting a win, and this is the first one after years of racing with these guys. So yeah, it is absolutely amazing, and just kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't see it coming today, that's for sure.
Yeah,
the
I
race
mean,
did not go really well.
I don't think that race went well for a lot of people, Chris, but you're able to pull it up. I mean, you're still 11th in points coming up there. Again, this is the career best you've had. I believe you've had one other top 5. I think it was at Bristol Dirt. So, I mean, you're comfortable at Bristol, and that's one of the Chase tracks we're going to. Is there any tracks that you're really worried about in the Chase playoffs, or any that you're really excited about, or what's going into your head going into the Chase?
I'm just happy to be in the Chase, honestly. Like, that's another first for me, is just being there. So if I could make it into just the top 8, that would be great. And yeah, I love the short tracks and Bristol in particular. And we got another plate track in there. So yeah, there's a decent chance I might be able to hang on for a little while.
Well, Chris, again, man, congratulations. I know it's got to be a very cool experience being up here the first time. I promise we'll do better in the Chase. We'll have snacks and maybe some of those Kool-Aid jammers waiting for you in the future. But before I let you sign off, man, who would you like to give thanks to that's helping make that Mandalorian number 8 race car so fast out there?
Thanks to the Old Bastards Racing League for having such an awesome place to race. And check out iRacers Lounge podcast and the iRacers Lounge Aftermath. After this, we're gonna record a podcast with the Old Bastards Truck Series champion Thomas Ogle, Liberace, as you know.
Chris, where can we find more about the podcast? Where can our viewers at home, some maybe guys that aren't used to the other series that OBRL runs? I know you sponsor, I think it's the Truck Series, correct?
Yep. We sponsor their truck series, and any place you listen to podcasts, you'll be able to find both the iRacers Lounge and the iRacers Lounge Aftermath.
Awesome. Looking forward to tuning in, my friend. And again, I hope to support you more throughout the season, even if it's not just this one, all the other ones you run here at OBRL. And again, congratulations on a well-deserved win here today.
Thanks a lot, man, and thanks to you for doing such a great job with the broadcast. They're really entertaining.
Oh, always a pleasure, Chris. And that is going to do it after quite the wild night here at Daytona. Chris Gales able to put on the top spot for the very first time so far this season. A well-deserved win and the number 8 machine, as we saw a lot of drivers get collected and have a rough night. As always, on behalf of eMetroFord.com, the series sponsor, as well as the Old Bastards Racing League and TeamGoonSquad.com broadcasting, I'd like to thank you all so much for tuning in each and every week. Next week, we head to the playoff rounds and get ready to get this party started. And again, have a great and safe weekend, everybody. We'll see you same time, same place next week. Have a good night, everyone.